Halo, Halo, Halo. Jeez, man. I feel like I can't get away from Halo. You guys know how it is, though. I keep it real on this channel. I go over. So I just give my opinion. What you do on the internet. Doesn't mean I know what I'm talking about. Doesn't mean that my opinions are right. Just do it on the internet. So what's going on? All right. So we've had a lot of, crazy changes in the industry in terms of Halo. From the engine Halo is developed on to the studio name that the Halo developers take, which used to be 343 Industries, which was taken place from a character. I don't want to spoil it, but taken place from a character in Halo. So let's move it back a little bit. First off, even with my initial take on 343 changing their name to Halo Studio, I was a little curious on why a studio would do that. Doesn't happen very often. Does it happen? Yes. But it doesn't happen often in the industry, especially a well-known studio like 343. Why would you change it to a name like Halo Studios? But if you look at it like legitly, when people are going on looking for jobs, it's probably a lot easier for you to sell Halo Studios because you know what you're going to be working on. But it could also be used the other way around, because maybe Halo isn't the greatest studio. 343 isn't the greatest studio to be working on in general. Let's read this. First off, I want to point out that this was shared by the Red Dragon. Xbox devs with 13 years of experience working on Halo slams incompetent leadership and says a name change to Halo Studios won't change how terrible the decisions makers are, and it was only done to try to hide the hate that 343 gets. Regardless how you feel about the Red Dragon, I got my own problems with him. This is still an individual that did work for there. No one has came out and debunked it. I actually sent it to other people as well, and they also collaborated some of this stuff. So let's read his statements, because oh boy, he's got a lot. Sit down, ladies and gentlemen, with your popcorn, because we about to go straight into it. And you guys know how I am with reading, so you've been warned. I worked for them as a top performing industry animator for 13 years. I do not recommend working for 343 Industries, quote unquote Halo Studios. It's like Comcast calling themselves Infinity and hoping no one notices. Stay clear and stay out of there. They are not worth it. Feel free to PM me. To be clear, employees have some of the industry and finest because we have all the fond memories of Halo, and Microsoft pay is nice, but their leadership is cancer up here, especially, and you'll hate how creativity limited they are. I have no doubt that even with the execs finally giving and switching into the Unreal, they will find a way to organizationally make it unfun to work there. Jason Schreier, you may be interested. Which is interesting. He went to Jason Schreier. Let's pop over here, because there's more. There's more guys. We got a lot. He's got like 3 or 4 more of these type of tweets. I don't know if this is tweet. This might look like LinkedIn. I don't know. Maybe someone in the comment section below can tell me if this is LinkedIn or not. First off, let's go over a couple of things he said. One thing he said is he believes they're changing the name from 343 to Halo Studios because in the industry, from freelancers, because, freelancers just developers themselves. When you get through so many people, in my opinion, and they have bad experiences, the pool of people you can hire keeps getting smaller and smaller. That's one thing. One thing I will say is he kind of gave it up a little bit here when he says, I have no doubt that even though the execs finally give into switching up, they will somehow organizationally make it unfun to work there. So it did kind of like he said there, like, look, even with them switching to Unreal, I do think that's going to improve things, but they're still going to find a way to mess that up. So to me, that's like a neutral limiting term. I get it. Now, he did bring up the new person, Priere. He's currently over there. He still thinks the leadership is bad. Now, I have been told by people that work there, the leadership is dramatically better than what it was. but there's still a lot of key people in place that can mess things up. That's what I was told. Regardless if that's true or not, I don't think anyone truly knows. But we'll have to see. What's interesting enough is I'm gonna, look, when it comes to stuff like this, I've always been the kind of person to tell you guys, it is what it is. You have to come to your own realization on what you feel about these. A lot of people generally want me not to talk about this kind of stuff. They want me to keep my mouth shut because they don't feel that it's worth talking about. And I think it's the exact opposite, actually. I think with stuff like this, it's extremely important to talk about this kind of stuff because you're going to want to know what, your favorite studio is doing. And I think that for some reason, people don't want me to just be honest with some of this stuff. But anyway, let's get back on to this. Now, what I will do, because I know that's a little hard for me to read, so it's going to be impossible for you guys to read. So I am switching up the screen a little bit. We're going to read it from where I made my thumbnail. So CE played a huge part in the decision to go towards games as an animator for me, and Wells breaks my heart too. Imagine telling a studio loudly, almost daily, how to succeed for 13. 7 of them were spent educating a clueless executive team, which we have elaborated that they are gone, with a purely corporate publishing background, no real hands-on coding or art, and in some cases gaming experience, which is wild. There's no gaming experience with some of these executives. That's one thing I always have to give my props off to Phil Spencer, is they actually play games. We can disagree on how they go about things, but we can't say that they don't actually play games, because a lot of the corporate people that's in Microsoft that do Xbox play most of these games that come out. I see Phil Spencer playing games all the time on Xbox. But anyway, let's get back into this. How to actually make something, and explaining to them over and over why using Unreal for the next game, Infinite, would be far better for them to switch now that they've decided the game should vastly be dynamic and open world. They decided. So it looks like the corporate part of 343 decided the game should be open world, which it's pretty on point what I've heard in the past. The last 5 years at 343 for me were educating an entire studio on why a good user experience is important for the artist to have fun with. They make their best work. I remember before they did it, explaining that they would likely save billions of dollars if they switched. Imagine all of that, and then to have the studio lay you off without a thank you, without showing acknowledgement of 13 years you work on. Just an email shows up to one day from Microsoft HR that a year later they say they have got a great idea, they're switching to Unreal, which he did seem a little annoyed because he said he told them multiple times to switch, and they didn't do it. Now, as far as the email thing, I've been very clear on how I feel about the way that the industry treats people. I don't like the way they treat people because I feel like it's unhuman. But what everyone keeps telling me is, Addict, that's just the way the industry works. I don't believe that's the way the industry should work. This person should have been acknowledged for the time they have. I don't know what's a realistic expectation on what you feel you should have got, but I can understand spending that much time and not getting, at least appreciate all the work you've done. And keep in mind, this is a very emotional time too when you're being laid off. So they could have done that. It's just, are you going to get it to the degree where you feel it's validating for that many years of your life? I would say that probably not. Like, this is how bad it got. They released the game without an industry standard game player reporting feature. It came down to me seeing a female streamer being harassed by male gamers while she played, and I looked for a feature. I just assumed the UX team would have built to reboost the version. Nope, nothing. So me, an animator, about 500 people away, had to lead the charge and literally design the UN wireframes for the in-game reporting feature post-launch, and then force Jerry Hook into a meeting in which he basically ambushed me for taking upon the work myself, even though we basically had nothing going on except the occasional bug fix in front of Pierre. I also got in trouble from our safety team for saying publicly I would make sure that people with hate that make sure people that threw hate speech at the streamer, they literally were telling her to kill herself, would be banned for life. So all right, let's go back. All right, so pretty much what he's saying there is he's like, yo, I understand where you're coming from. When it comes to stuff like this, you can't necessarily tell people broad statements like that because you weren't told to. Now, he should have definitely said that. There's no denying that. If you're going to be, a hateful piece of shit like that, you should be banned for life. But I guess, if you're not in the know or you're not one of the, the lead people, you shouldn't be saying stuff like that. Doesn't make it right, but he probably wasn't in the state he should have been, like in terms of what he's allowed to go about stuff. It's like equivalent of like you yourself might see something as an issue and you go about and to fix it, but higher ups, even though he felt like they didn't have any high priority right now, you're still taking people's time. You're still taking resources away, even though this should have been one of the first things. There should have been a way to report people on the UI. It's kind of crazy that there wasn't, but apparently, Microsoft didn't feel it was it was important at that time. Like I said, I'm trying to be fair on the matter. I do think this individual at this point is right, but as far as like a corporate thing and making sure everything's done to the letter, I know there's a lot of red tape in corporate. There's a lot of red tape. All right, so let's read the next one. As a long life fan of Halo and Bungie, I really wanted to be to be in good hands. I know it's such a silly long shot, but I wish that certain Infinity could take over the Halo franchise entirely, even though there's a fan perspective completely ignoring the fact that I worked on Halo for 13 years. So in the pure fan perspective and completely ignoring the fact that I worked on Halo for 13 years, he's just pretty much saying he didn't think it was 100% right in 343. Maybe certain Infinity handled things a lot differently, and that's the way he wanted them to do in general. I think certain Infinity would have done an amazing job with our beloved franchise. The fact that 343 had to change their name to Halo Studio. Because fans and developers hate the studio's leadership and executive handling of it cannot be good for their team's morale. Like I said in my last video, I've been told by multiple people that are in the know or in that facility that the morale was really bad. Has it changed now? I don't know. The wonderful employees and friends that are stuck at 343, better leadership and vision. If they're going to continue trying to make Halo games worthy of the fans, certain Affinity would so great to work with. They are true lovers of the Halo universe, unlike the Halo corporate leadership team. Hashtag save Halo. They screwed us. We fought for years for them to switch to Unreal, even though Halo Infinite's production started all throughout it. The directors and Pierre fought against it with the rest of them. Pierre came back, laid off the loudest voices for Unreal and some of the best developers in the industry, us, and then finally took our advice. Feels good. So he's pretty much saying, look, yo, you told me for years, we wasn't in it. You told me for years that we couldn't do that. Now you're doing it. I'd be mad if I was him too. That's just me. I feel like they're changing the name to escape all of the hate they got for being horrible to us during Infinite post Infinite. And I have been told by people that worked in that work there that this is true. Forcing everyone to use slip space for 7 years and years after we told them we needed to switch back to Unreal to keep making good on our promise with the fans. It is likely the abuser cherry on top. Well, actually making it seem like they just thought up the switch to Unreal is the cherry on top. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like what started this person spiraling out of control was them doing what they wanted them to do. For years, they asked for them to do this. To me, it seemed like Halo on a corporate level started seeing just money and not fans. In order for stuff like this to work, it's got to be both. You got to see the fans that are going to give you the money, and you got to appeal to the fans that are going to pay you month to month, especially you're doing a games as a service. And it didn't seem like seemed like they were tone deaf, and they got rid of the people that was loudest the most that wanted to correct the ship. And I can speak from people that have told me in the industry and people that, I got a huge, hand around the impulsiveness in here, that a lot of this is true. So it is interesting, man. Look, you guys know how it is. You guys know how I am. I just want Halo to be better. That's why I do think that some of the things he said is valid. Some of the things he said you could be upset with, which I would be upset if I was him, but that's not the way corporate works at all. I got a couple friends that's in corporate. It's not the way things are done there. You can't just go off and, go lone wolf on stuff, which is interesting. I said lone wolf when considering it's Halo. Look, Halo's got to improve. So I made that video saying, yo, should you take their opinion on it? Should it even matter to you at this point? And I do think that they've done enough to make me think that things can change. And I have been told by people, in that circle that it is looking better. But there are still problematic people at 343. Now they're not outnumbered, though. It used to be when you wanted to do things, there were so many people that were against you because there was so many bad management at 343 that it was impossible to get stuff done. Now it's a little bit 50-50 is what I was told, the number I was told. But anyway, tell me what you guys think. I'm very curious your guys' opinion on this. My voice is gone. 16 minutes. How many of you guys is still in that comment section after 16 minutes? I appreciate every last one of you. Definitely hit that like button if you guys want to be kept up to date, regardless if it's PlayStation, Xbox. And regardless if I'm an Xbox fan, I'm still going to hold them to the fire. This is what this individual's experience was there. And from what I've been told, a lot of people share that experience. So regardless how you feel about Xbox, you still got to call them out. As long as this is changed for the better, that's all that matters. But we can still call out that for a long time working at 343, now Halo Studios, it wasn't a great experience. But anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm very curious to your guys' opinion. You can follow me on Twitter at LordAddictIOP. I will be streaming Metaphor on Addict Arena. All that's in the description below. Appreciate everyone coming through here. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Man, I hope I don't have to talk about Halo for a couple more weeks. Probably not, though, man. I'm assuming where he said Jason Schreier, there's going to be more news. See ya.